Amp in the time machine, come take a ride through the 1930s with style and stride. Books, films, and fashion, the songs that remain. We regret nothing, the past calls our name.
Welcome back to We Regret Nothing. Today, we reach the final broadcast in our exploration of the radio shows of the 1930s. Over the last 2 episodes, Michelle, Andrea, and I examined 20 of the most influential radio programs of the decade. These shows informed the public, sparked imaginations, delivered laughter, and offered some escape during one of the most uncertain times in modern history. Now, we're down to the top 10. By the end of this episode, only 5 radio shows will earn a place in the space capsule to represent the voice of the 1930s. This is where the debates get tough. Cultural reach versus artistic innovation. Comfort versus disruption. Some of these shows shaped future genres. Others shaped daily life. Choosing just 5 means deciding what mattered most when radio was king or queen. So today, we ask the final question. Which 5 radio shows best captured the sound, influence, and shared experience of the 1930s? Let's find out. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea.
Help me.
Okay, why don't we start by just reviewing our top 10. This is in no particular order. We have Guiding Light, The Shadow, The Jack Benny Program, Lux Radio Theater, The Lone Ranger, Lights Out, Major Beau's Amateur Hour, Fireside Chats, War of the Worlds, and the Chase and Sanborn Hour. I guess let's just start at the top with Guiding Light. Andrea, anything about, we went over these shows in depth, so I just want to give both of you a chance to add any last minute thoughts about them.
No, I mean, Guiding Light sure stuck around for. Is Guiding Light still on TV?
Mm-mm. Canceled in 2009, but it was still the longest running soap opera of all time.
Yeah. I will tell you this. This is why I didn't even have one for You Get One. This has been the hardest time I've ever had, is this category. This decade, this category. I do not know why.
Oh, I was going to ask why. It's interesting. So radio shows of the 30s has been your biggest obstacle so far.
And it's like, it's honestly, it's making me irritated.
Oh, I thought that was just me. Okay, Michelle, anything about Guiding Light?
No.
Okay, so I like I said, I feel like we went over the show in great depth. For several of these, what I wanted to talk about is actually the people behind the show. So we mentioned this is from Erna Phillips. And I just wanted to talk about Erna Phillips just a little bit more in depth than we did before. Erna was one of 10 children born to a German Jewish family in Chicago. So 10 kids.
Get off that woman.
Her father dies when she's 8, leaving her mother alone to raise 10 kids.
Classic.
She claimed to be a lonely child who was always given hand-me-down clothes and left making up long and involved stories for her dolls to live out. At age 19, she got pregnant by her boyfriend, who then abandoned her, and she gave birth to a stillborn baby. She went on, though, to study drama at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, receiving a Master of Arts degree, and then going on to earn a master's degree in journalism at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So Phillips, from the beginning, always wanted to be an actress. But her teachers all told her she was too plain to have any success.
I love supportive people in education.
So from 1925 to 1930, she got a job as a school teacher in Dayton, Ohio, teaching drama and theater history to school children.
Well, the wars never stopped for this woman.
While working in this capacity, she continued to attempt a career as an actress while she was still teaching. And then after performing several acting roles for radio productions at WGN in Chicago, she left her career as a teacher and accepted a position as a staff writer on a daytime talk show. While working as a staff writer, Phillips created the serial Painted Dreams, which aired every day except Sundays on local Chicago station WGN. Phillips wrote every episode of the series, In addition to being the starring cast member as two characters, Mother Moynihan and Sue Morton. Mother Moynihan was a widowed matriarch of a large Irish-American family. Phillips based Mother Moynihan's struggles on her own mother's obstacles. After creating, producing, and starring in Painted Dreams, Phillips became credited with innovating a daytime serial format for radio geared specifically towards women. In 1932, Phillips urged WGN to sell Painted Dreams to a national network. WGN refused. So Phillips took them to court, claiming the series was her property and it was hers to do with what she pleased. WGN manager Henry Selinger claimed to have come up with the original daytime serial to sell products for women.
Fuck you, Henry.
However, Phillips was hired to write as well as perform in the series. So disputes of ownership over the innovative serial ended Phillips's association with WGN. She was immediately picked up by opponent station WMAQ. Painted Dreams was then changed to Today's Children, featuring the same plot and featuring the same debate over starting a career or starting a family. Phillips learned a valuable lesson from Painted Dreams. She learned to retain all rights and ownership, no matter. So, according to her
Irma's
biography,
version.
what, Michelle?
It's Irma's version.
Well, Erna, I think in her mind, she's like, I wrote it, produced it, starred in it. How can anybody argue that I own this?
Yeah.
Well, she learned a hard lesson in that one. And so then in 1937, I will tell you, Painted Dreams is still in court. The hearing is still going through the court process. And so she collaborates with Emmons Carlson on her third serial, Guiding Light. So she created Guiding Light while Painted Dreams was still going through the court process.
Okay.
Painted Dreams emerged from the courts and was purchased by CBS. So now she has Guiding Light from the year prior. Now Painted Dreams gets bought by CBS. So the nature of the court settlement prohibited Phillips from any future involvement with Painted Dreams. That year, when Phillips' mother died, she demanded to CBS that Today's Children be discontinued. Out of respect, CBS agreed and replaced it with her new series, Woman in White, a serial which focused on the internal workings of a hospital. It is the first daytime serial to be set in a hospital.
Take that, General Hospital.
I loved General Hospital, man.
In the 40s. Now, I know we're talking 30s, but I wanted to talk about Erna because there's a couple more things down the line that I found interesting. You may or may not know. But in the 40s, Phillips wrote 2 million words a year, dictated 6 to 8 hours a day, and was earning $250,000 per year. Phillips created the first serial broadcast on a major television network, These Are My Children, which ran on NBC for 1 month. In 1956, she created As the World Turns.
Jesus Christ.
One of the first 2 daytime serials to run half-hour in length on television. Within 2 years, As the World Turns had become the highest-rated drama, a position it would retain for over 20 years. Phillips co-created Another World with William J. Bell, who she was mentoring.
Then the whole Bell family. Okay.
In 1964, originally planned as a sister show to As the World Turns, but although Procter & Gamble owned both series, CBS had no room for the program, and rival network NBC acquired the broadcast rights to As the World Turns. Or, I'm sorry, Another World. And then in 1965, Phillips was the story editor for Days of Our Lives and was a story consultant on Peyton Place. So to say that Erna Phillips was the queen of the soap opera,
Yeah, that
what
would
they're
be
calling daytime serials,
Definitely.
when you go down the list of all the shows she created or touched, and then again created the very first serial inside a hospital. Think about all the hospitals that followed. Anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. Her story kind of captivated
So many
me.
hospitals.
Guiding Light. Okay, so number 2, The Shadow. Michelle, anything to add on The Shadow?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like this was a good jump off for Orson Welles, who we get a little more of as we go forward. So, but no, not really.
Oh,
Andrea?
We went over these like
No. I'm fully like I'm gonna keep repeating it for you two and for the audience. Is we went through all these shows in pretty great depth in the last or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give you both a chance to add any last minute thoughts. I have a bunch of notes. Not that I want to be like all over this episode, but if don't fret if you don't have anything. I'll talk about some of the people involved in these shows. Andrea, anything on The Shadow other than the Alec Baldwin movie that you hate?
Hate is such a strong
Not for
word.
me.
Yeah, I know. I chose it carefully.
not for me. I walked out.
Oh, maybe it was Michelle with the
walked
hate
out.
on.
Yeah,
She
that
walked out of that movie.
Yeah, we walked out.
Hey, listen, we're not talking about movies from the 90s right now,
Oh,
but
you brought it up.
the premise of that and who was in that movie should have been good. But we could probably say that about a lot of
I
movies
don't think
that
I
were good.
watched it.
I've seen it.
I haven't.
It was not good.
I think, were you working at the movie theaters when that came out?
I think so. I that would be a good excuse why I've seen it.
I don't know. There's a whole plethora of movies that came out like around that time that like I haven't seen or I didn't enjoy because of what was going on in my personal life with my boyfriend at the time.
Sounds like a real jerk.
He was quite the ass at back in the 90s.
You have a type. Okay. So
No, Sean, I don't have anything.
okay, good. That's fine. The Shadow. So we talked in the beginning about, The Shadow was a narrator for detective stories. He didn't have his own thing. And then when he started to get popular, Walter B. Gibson was tapped to write all of the stories and shows for The Shadow. So Walter Brown Gibson, born September 12th, 1897 in the Germantown neighborhood of Philadelphia. And then Gibson graduates from Colgate University in 1920 and immediately began working for newspapers in his native Philadelphia as a reporter and crossword puzzle writer, specifically for the North American and later the Evening Ledger. What's that, Shell?
Nothing. I just feel like I'm gonna have Tourette's over here today, where I just like shout things out. Like,
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm sorry. Go
I just
ahead.
don't want to miss any of the gold that you two are presenting. So in
It's gold. You'll hear it out loud.
Okay. In 1924, he provided illustrated single-page articles for Science and Innovation magazine describing various tricks and puzzles. So that's the thing that I'll come back to that, actually. No, a little bit more. In 1927, he founded and edited the pulp magazine Tales of Magic and Mystery, which ran for 5 issues, ending in April 1928.
5 issues?
5 issues.
Oh, that's a barn burner, isn't it?
In 1928, Gibson was asked by McFadden Publications to edit True Strange Stories. He did for a time under a different name, Walter Schofield, and he was commuting back and forth to New York to do that. In 1931, after submitting some crime stories for Detective Story magazine, he was asked by publisher Street and Smith to produce the first print adventure of The Shadow, who, like I said, at that stage was merely a voice, the mysterious narrator of the Street and Smith sponsored Detective Stories radio drama. It was Gibson who created all the mythos and characterization of The Shadow, including his alter ego of wealthy playboy Lamont Cranston.
The White Boss family from
Gibson created all of that, right? So the popularity of the radio show's narrator inspired the show's sponsors to translate the character into print, and Gibson was asked to produce 75,000 words for the first quarterly issue of The Shadow pulp magazine. 75,000 words. This first Shadow story was published on April 1, 1931, just 9 months after the character's appearance on the airwaves. 6 months later, The Shadow was headlining a new radio show, and his pulp adventures, written by Gibson under the pseudonym Maxwell Grant, were going from strength to strength, and then launched as a quarterly publication. So he went from, within months, the magazine was on a twice monthly schedule. And so he's writing like a maniac to try to keep up. So they're saying what I could find was Gibson had to produce the equivalent of 24 novels a year to keep up with this pace.
That's insane. Is he okay?
Described, well, he's passed, but described as a compulsive writer. So he's not okay. But
that's what I wonder. Like, I'm sorry that I cared about this man's well-being.
So Gibson, described as a compulsive writer, is estimated to have written at his peak 1,680,000 words a year, and at least 283 of the 336 total Shadow novels. Gibson ultimately contributed more than 15 million words towards Shadow publications.
That's insane.
As the Shadow character spun off into daily syndicated comic strips, monthly comic books, movies, and parlor games, Gibson went with the Shadow, scripting many of those comic book stories and the syndicated newspaper daily, as well as serving as consultant on the very popular Sunday night radio show. Gibson is recognized as the creator of much of the Shadow's mythos, like I said, but his tales often conflict with the better-known radio show version. For example, Gibson's Shadow is actually a guy named Kent Allard, a former World War I aviator who sometimes posed as Playboy Lamont Cranston. On the radio show, the Shadow was Cranston, a wealthy young man about town. Similarly, excuse me, the Shadow companion Margot Lane arose not from the novels that Gibson wrote, but from the radio program because they needed a female voice for the show. In 1941, Gibson grudgingly added Margot Lane to the pulp stories. And so here's what I wanted to get to. Gibson wrote more than 100 books on magic, psychic phenomenon, true crime, mysteries, rope knots, yoga, hypnotism, and games. He also served as the ghostwriter for most of the books on magic written by Harry Houdini. He is a longtime magician, was friends with Houdini, and wrote, I couldn't find the true number, but it says most, if not all, were ghost written by Gibson. He introduced the Chinese linking rings trick to America. He actually brought that trick to America, but he also invented, if you've ever seen the nickels to dimes trick, it's pretty popular. It's still sold in magic stores today. Gibson invented that trick. Where you take a stack of nickels, put a cap on it, and when you pull it off, they're dimes.
Yeah.
He invented that trick. It's still sold, like I said, in magic stores today. So after Houdini died, Houdini was known for his investigations into and exposure of false mediums. And so after his death, his wife, Bess, held seances for 10 years in an attempt to contact the deceased magician. She then passed the role on to Gibson, who ran the seances from the late 60s to the 1980s. I told you I had a bunch of crazy stuff on people. I'm going to do what I'm interested in. But number 3, the Jack Benny program. Andrea, any additional things about your boy Jack Benny?
No.
Michelle?
No, just that, it's pretty important base that, it's the blueprint for all these sitcoms that everybody watches now.
Yeah. So, he was not born Jack Benny. Benny was born Benjamin Kubelski on February 14th, 1894 in Chicago, but then grew up in nearby Waukegan. He was the son of Jewish immigrants, Meyer Kubleski and Naomi Emma, both who immigrated to the U.S. from the Russian Empire. His father was a saloon owner and later a haberdasher. What's a haberdasher?
Hat maker.
Hat maker. I knew that. Sorry. Who immigrated to the U.S. from Congress, Poland, which was then part of the Russian Empire. And then Emma, a Lithuanian Jewish woman, also came from the Russian Empire. His parents, I'm sure you two know this. There's things I just don't know, and I'm fascinated to learn. His parents gave him a half-size violin for his 6th birthday in 1900. And he started taking violin lessons from Professor Harlow in Waukegan, who charged 50 cents per lesson. He was considered a prodigy by the age of 8. Benny was making frequent trips to Chicago with his mother to study under Hugo Kortschak at the Chicago Musical College. At the age of 8, by the way. I flew by that pretty quick. He was, at the age of 8, studying at the Chicago Musical College. He loved the instrument, but hated to practice. I just wanted to throw in, anyway. At 14, Benny was playing in dance bands and his high school orchestra. But like I said, he didn't like to practice. Benny was a bit of a dreamer, poor at studies, so he dropped out of school and music lessons in the 9th grade. He later tried business school, did poorly, and then tried to join his father's haberdashery business, and that didn't go well either. In 1911, he began playing the violin in local vaudeville theaters for $7.50 a week. $260 now, but still not great. But so that same year, Benny was playing in the same theater as the Marx Brothers, very young Marx Brothers. Minnie, their mother, enjoyed Benny's violin playing so much that she invited him to accompany her boys in their act. Benny's parents refused to let their son go on the road at 17, but it was the beginning of a very long friendship with the Marx Brothers, especially Zeppo. I couldn't find why, but Benny and Zeppo were very, very close. The next year, Benny formed a vaudeville musical duo with pianist Kara Salisbury. This angered famous violinist Jan Kubelik, who feared that the young vaudevillian with a similar name would damage his reputation. So he was, at that time, Benny Kubelski, and played the violin. And so there was a violinist, Jan Kubelik. I just couldn't find it. It's not even close. Anyway, but so under legal pressure, Benjamin Kubelski agreed to change his name to Ben K. Benny, sometimes just spelled Benny. When Salisbury left the act, Benny found a new pianist, Lyman Woods, and renamed the act from Grand Opera to Ragtime. They worked together for 5 years, slowly integrated comedy elements into the show. 1918, Benny left show business briefly to join the United States Navy during World War I, often entertaining fellow sailors with his violin playing. One evening, his violin performance was booed by the sailors. So with prompting from a fellow sailor and actor, Pat O'Brien, he ad-libbed his way out of the jam and left everybody laughing. So that began the idea of comedy and violin for him. So he received more comedy spots in the venues and did well, earning a reputation as a comedian first, musician second. Benny achieved the rank of seaman first class. His naval service ended in 1921. Right after that, Benny developed a one-man act, Benny K. Benny Fiddle Phonology. He then received legal pressure from Ben Burney, a patter and fiddle performer, regarding the name.
I'm sorry, a patter? Like
Patter and fiddle.
Like pitter patter?
I think so.
Let's get at her.
So Benny finally just adopted a sailor's nickname of Jack. He is now Jack Benny.
Yeah.
So 1921, the fiddle became more of a prop. The low-key comedy took over. In 22, Benny accompanied Zeppo Marx to a Passover Cedar in Vancouver at the residence where he met 17-year-old Sadie Marx. Actually spelled differently, no relation to the Marx family.
I'm sorry, what year was this?
22.
She's 17?
17.
Fucking Leonardo DiCaprio's all through, like...
Well, how old would he
He was born in 97.
He was born in 1894.
94.
So how old would he be?
So he's almost 30? What year again was it? I'm sorry.
22.
Oh, he's 28. That's okay. He's not quite 30. Fucking...
Benny accompanied Zeppo to a Passover Cedar in Vancouver at the residence where he met 17-year-old Sadie Marx, whose family was friends with but not related to the Marx family. First meeting did not go well. When Jack tried to leave in the middle of Sadie's violin performance, Sadie didn't take kindly to that. Then, again in 1926, they meet. Jack did not remember the earlier meeting and was immediately taken with Sadie and convinced her to marry him. They married in 27.
At least it was 4 years later and she was 21, but still.
In 27. She was working in the hosiery section of the downtown LA Broadway Boulevard May Company, across the street from the Orpheum Theater. Jack was playing at the Orpheum. And so what he was working on, this Andrea is already spicy, but called for an actress to fill in for the dumb girl part in a Benny routine. And Sadie filled in, proving to be a natural comedian. She then adopted the stage name Mary Livingstone. Sadie collaborated with Jack throughout most of his career. They later adopted a daughter, Joan, and Sadie's older sister, Babe, would often be the target of the jokes on the Jack Benny program about unattractive or masculine women, while her younger brother, Hilliard, would later produce Benny's radio and TV shows.
You're a really
Number 4,
good producer.
Lux Radio Theater. Michelle.
I don't have anything else to add except for that this was, really good low cost entertainment for people who were still coming out of the Depression, can't afford to go to the theater, or in places where the theater is not, and they could still get kind of the experience of an actual play or show.
Yeah. Andrea?
No. I'm just going to tell you now, I got nothing for any of these.
Okay.
So,
But I still want to give you a chance.
Oh, I know. I appreciate that. Know that it's not,
Okay.
it's just,
To Michelle's point, America at this time was, we talked about movies in the 20s. We talked about movies in the 30s. America was movie crazy. Going to the movies wasn't the 2-hour wallet busting experience it might be today. It was cheap and you got bang for your buck. And even an evening at the cinema was a lengthy experience, usually consisting of one or more live acts, followed by a cartoon. Then came a live action comedy short, newsreel, and then finally the movie. So sometimes you get 2 movies, and generally a B movie, like a 60 or 70-minute thriller, followed by a more prestigious A movie. The problem for the audiences of the day that we're talking about now was that once your local movie theater stopped showing a film, it usually disappeared for good. You didn't get to see it again. And so this was the perfect solution. The Lux Radio Theater filled in. If you were a movie fan, the movies you loved on the screen were being broadcast into your home. And these weren't cheap versions. They were featuring the actors, usually from the movie. And then the script that had been trimmed down just a bit to fit into a 1-hour radio broadcast. So this fit, it was a win-win for everybody. The Lux Radio Theater was not only used to broadcast old movies, but to advertise new ones and to keep their contracted stars in the public eye during downtime. So this fit very well.
how long was that on the air?
So in total, there were 926 episodes. It has been estimated that Lux had used 52,000 pages of scripts, 496 stars, 1,467 supporting actors, 18,667 musical cues, and 22,000 sound effects. So I don't have the year, but I know that it went for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
They did a lot of shows. Okay. Number 5, The Lone Ranger. Andrea?
I know I said it. Again, I still just,
No.
I love all the stuff I learned about the Lone Ranger on the last one.
Oh, okay. Michelle,
I had
anything?
no idea that they were
No,
Texas Rangers.
Well, let's talk about the Texas Rangers for a second. The Rangers were founded in 1823 when Stephen F. Austin, known as the Father of Texas, employed 10 men to act as Rangers to protect 600-ish newly settled families who arrived in Mexican Texas following the Mexican War of Independence. So while there's some discussion as to, they were volunteers and Austin didn't really have the authority to do it, but the Texas Rangers lore actually dates the year of their organization to this event. So the Rangers always trace their lineage back to 1823 when this happened. They were formally constituted in 1835 when the provisional government of Texas authorized 3 companies of Rangers to protect the frontier. Within 2
Who own the land that they stole it from.
Within 2 years, the Rangers comprised more than
White
300 men. There's a long history of the Rangers in Texas. During these times, many of the Rangers' myths were born. Their success in killing notorious criminals and desperados, bank robber Sam Bass, gunfighter John Wesley Hardin, their involvement in the Mason County War, the Horrell-Higgins feud, and their decisive role in the defeat of the Comanche, Kiowa, and Apache peoples.
I'm not saying shit, but
So here's why I'm saying all of this.
Yes.
And let me just get to some more. Despite the fame for their deeds, the conduct of the Rangers during this period was found to be illegally excessive. In particular, Leander McNelly and his men used ruthless methods that often rivaled the brutality of their opponents, such as taking part in summary executions and confessions induced by torture and intimidations. In January of 1919, an investigation launched by Texas lawmaker Jose Tomas Canales found that from 300 to 5,000 people, mostly of Hispanic descent, had been killed by the Texas Rangers from 1910 to 1919, and that members of the Rangers had been involved in many acts of brutality and injustice. The Rangers were then disbanded, reformed by resolution of legislature in 1919, and then Miriam Amanda Ma Ferguson wins the Texas state governor's race, and she proceeded to fire every Texas Ranger in 1933. After Ma Ferguson fired all the Rangers, they had to rebuild the force, which didn't come with issues of its own. The new Rangers were not ready for the job, and this time marked a period in Texas filled with lawlessness and chaos. The ensuing disorganization of law enforcement in the state caused the legislature to engage a firm of consultants to reorganize the state security agencies. The consultants recommended merging the Rangers under the Texas Highway Patrol under a new agency called the Texas Department of Public Safety. So, in 1933, the Texas Rangers were not doing great. They had, come off the 1919 hearings. Everybody got fired. There was all of this. Well, 1933, the radio program The Lone Ranger debuts. And this significantly boosted the Texas Rangers' public image. So by romanticizing their lifestyle and portraying them as noble public servants, this program single-handedly shifted public focus away from the controversies and grew a great appreciation for the Rangers' purpose to protect and serve the public, which was further reinforced by subsequent television shows and films.
That's horrible. That is fucking horrible. Fuck this show. Fuck those people.
Okay.
I could have gone my whole life without knowing that.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Okay. I think maybe we should just maybe skip radio shows of the 30s. Number 6, Lights Out. Michelle.
Nope. But I would have 1,000% listened to this.
Yeah.
I've said that before, but I'd have been
Have you
up
listened
all
to
night
any of
listening
these?
I could not find any actual good recordings.
Oh, I can share them with you if you want to listen to them. I
of
wouldn't
course
advise
I
it.
do.
I've listened to 3 of them, and
Yeah.
I don't recommend.
What, like horrible or
No, it's
creepy?
So scary.
Oh, I don't need that
scary.
shit. You can't even look under the haunted chest. You don't get to listen to that.
Fair. That's fair.
Is it really, baby? Like I would.
So, yeah. Do you have anything, Edgar, about this?
No, I would totally.
You would have listened to it as well, both of you.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of them on YouTube. But the one, so let me just talk about this one real quick, because I'll get to it. Lights Out was originally a 15-minute program created by Willis Cooper, but it was eventually expanded to 30 minutes. Cooper was a magnificent spookmaster, pioneering the use of stream of consciousness horror. Since the show aired at midnight, he didn't have to hold back on any of the chills. But in 36, Cooper moved to Hollywood to try out his hand at film writing, where he wrote Son of Frankenstein and various Mr. Moto screenplays. Arch Oboler takes over. His debut story, Burial Services, caused such a sensation and a major controversy that it nearly ended his career. This is the story of a paralyzed 16-year-old girl who is mistakenly buried alive. Now, the broadcast so deeply unsettled listeners who had to imagine their own deceased loved ones sealed in their coffins, unable to call for help. The sheer volume of fear prompted over 50,000 letters to NBC. One of those letters, which I read, was a lady who just buried her 16-year-old daughter. And it was heartbreaking. But the controversy ultimately bolstered Oberler's career. He became a household name. The show was wildly famous because of it. But this episode was never produced again. You cannot find it anywhere. And only the script remains in the Library of Congress. But I will tell you that I watched, again on YouTube, there was a group of people who got the script and reenacted this. And it's pretty good. So you can't hear the original Burial Services, but this group that redid it, is pretty creepy, but it's so bad. I mean, she's talking the whole time about what's going on in her head.
Please don't. Please don't.
But the other one I listened to,
Yeah, that's the.
the other one I
Punch
listened to,
your
now
way
I
out
forgot
like
the
the bride.
name. But it's a girl, they're in Paris and she gets buried under the Louvre.
In the
That one.
catacombs?
Yeah.
Enough of this. No.
It's scary. Well, y'all said you wanted to listen to these.
No.
I'm just telling you,
Not
I've
those
listened
ones.
to 3 of them and I'm good. I'm not going to sleep for the next week. So, okay. Number 7, Major Beau's Amateur Hour. And that's Andrea.
I just really thought that this was a cool concept. I like the whole, like, bring people up and then tour, let everybody, again, get a glimpse of them. And I liked it. And I used to go to, not American Idol, because I couldn't, but I used to go to So You Think You Can Dance when they would tour. I would watch, like, the show on, back when it was on Fox in the early, and it was really cool to see these live. So I like the concept of this.
Yeah. Michelle, what she said.
That
Okay. So the Major Beau's Amateur Hour was an American radio talent show broadcast that started in 1934, created and hosted by Edward Bose. Edward J. Bose was born on June 14th, 1874 in San Francisco, California. His father died when he was 6 years old, and young Edward worked as he could to augment the family income. He was 6.
When you said that, I was just like,
I didn't blink because I know our Wayne Slaughter.
yeah.
So he left grammar school, worked as an office boy. Then when he was old enough, he went into real estate, where he did very well. He actually had a fortune that was wiped out in the cataclysmic 1906 San Francisco earthquake.
Yeah, that's
He then moved to New York City in search of other opportunities, soon realizing that the theatrical world was lucrative. So he worked busily in New York as a musical conductor, composer, and arranger. He then became managing director of New York's Capitol Theater, which he ran with military efficiency. He insisted on being addressed as Major Bose, Andrea, a nickname that sprang from his earlier military rank. So
possibly.
we're a little divided. No. So he was a major during World War I, but the argument is whether he was an active duty officer in World War I, or held the rank as a member of the Officer Reserve Corps
Yes.
during World War I. You go whichever way you believe, but he was a major during World War I. So after his successes at the Capitol, Bose was named vice president of Goldwyn Pictures Corp. in 22. Following Goldwyn's merger with Metro Pictures in 24, Bose assumed management of radio station WHN. 34, amid widespread unemployment during the Great Depression, he launched the original amateur hour on New York radio station WHN. 35, he resigned as vice president of MGM Film Corp. just before the show debuted nationally as the Major Bose Amateur Hour on NBC, sponsored by Chase and Sanborn Coffee. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Fireside chat. Michelle.
Big fan.
Andrea? Okay. 2 days after he was inaugurated, FDR declares a nationwide bank holiday, temporarily shutting down the nation's entire banking system. Called into a special session, Congress passed the Emergency Banking Act on March 9th. The bill gave the federal government the power to investigate each bank's finances. Those that were judged to be healthy and stable enough would reopen on March 13th.
Those Mr. Potter didn't buy out.
But on March 12, 1933, the day before the banks were set to reopen, it wasn't clear that these emergency measures had done enough to calm the public's fears. That evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Roosevelt addressed the nation via radio broadcast directly from the diplomatic reception room at the White House. It started, "My friends, I want to talk for a few minutes with the people of the United States about banking." For the next roughly 13 minutes, more than 60 million Americans listened as Roosevelt explained in straightforward language designed for the benefit of the average citizen what the federal government had done in the past few days to address the banking crisis, why they had done it, and what the next steps were going to be. After explaining how banking worked, Roosevelt laid out what happened to cause the current crisis. He argued that the government's emergency measures would enable a survey of the nation's banks and allow stable banks to reopen. Andrea.
Did he blame Joe Biden and Barack Obama?
After that, he said people could feel completely safe returning their money to the banks rather than hoarding it at home out of fear. And I quote, "I can assure you, your money is safer in a reopened bank than under your mattress." Finally, Roosevelt called on the American people to renew their confidence and courage and to have faith rather than be stampeded by rumors or guesses. Let us unite in banishing fear. Together, we cannot fail. On March 13th, when healthy banks reopened, people lined up in droves to return their cash. More than half of the funds Americans had withdrawn during the crisis was back in the bank within 2 weeks. March 15th, the first day stocks were traded after the banking holiday, saw the market's largest ever one-day percentage price increase, reflecting a surge of confidence among American investors. Before Roosevelt's second radio address, broadcast on May 7th, 1933, the CBS station manager Harold Butcher dubbed the speeches fireside chats. He was sitting next to the fireplace in the White House. But thousands of letters had begun pouring into the White House every day, many of them expressing gratitude for the president's words. A single fireside chat could generate more than 450,000 cards, letters, and telegrams. On average, FDR was receiving 8,000 communiques a day. War of the Worlds.
Oh, no.
Number 9, Andrea.
This is brilliant, and I love that it's almost kind of done out of laziness, because the fact that Orson Welles didn't bother to find out anything, he didn't even read War of the Worlds before he chose it. America's favorite old fart is
America's favorite old fart.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, that part was interesting to learn.
Yes. We didn't know that John Houseman was connected
Had
to it
anything to do
until...
with it.
Yeah, produced it.
Mhm.
One of the producers. Michelle?
I said it for her. She did.
On the evening of October 30th, 1938, just before Halloween, Orson Welles, then the director and star of the radio drama series The Mercury Theater on the Air, was running through last-minute rehearsals for an innovative new broadcast. Welles was only 23 years old at the time.
So hot.
And regarded by many as a prodigy. But this was his most ambitious project yet. An update on the War of the Worlds, a science fiction thriller by H.G. Wells, published in 1898. His plan was to bring H.G. Wells' story alive by setting it in the modern day, trying to create a sense of urgency and fear. He changed the location from England to New Jersey and had the story rewritten as a series of realistic news bulletins reporting an unstoppable alien invasion from Mars in what sounded like real time, and so blurring the lines between reality and fiction. Wells said, "We did that all very carefully and exactly reproduced what would have happened, thinking to make the whole thing more effective, but we had no idea how effective it would really be." Circumstances provided the perfect backdrop for this production. By this time, radio was rapidly replacing newspapers as the place where most Americans got their daily news. There was also a general feeling of anxiety about another conflict in Europe, and as the events that drove the world towards World War II accelerated, U.S. audiences were becoming increasingly familiar with major news events interrupting scheduled radio programs. So, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the broadcast began with Welles himself introducing the drama and clarifying that this was a work of fiction. But either listeners who tuned in late missed the disclaimer, or some simply didn't hear it and didn't really register what Welles was saying, or they simply forgot it as the drama progressed. What then followed was a regular music program familiar to listeners, interrupted by a series of increasingly frantic, simulated breaking news bulletins. The actors portraying reporters and government officials breathlessly described the arrival of the alien invaders, and these descriptions were combined with chillingly realistic sound effects of the aliens' deadly heat rays and the destruction of entire cities. Radio drama's compelling effect, heightened by its documentary style and naturalistic dialogue, led some terrified listeners to genuinely mistake it for a real news broadcast. Subsequently, newspapers reported that anxious individuals, convinced the world was ending, either fled their homes or armed themselves to fight in the alien invasion. The resulting panic overloaded phone lines as alarmed listeners desperately tried to contact police and newspapers for information or reassurance. This massive influx of calls likely contributed to journalists' belief that the broadcast had triggered a widespread national panic. Chaos escalated when police arrived at CBS studio, where the drama was being performed, and a physical struggle ensued between the police officers and radio executives who were desperately attempting to prevent the police from busting in and stopping the live show. Welles claims he was unaware of what was happening as the play continued. He only realized what was happening when, mid-performance, he glanced up and noticed an increasing number of police officers accumulating in the control room. The War of the Worlds broadcast led to an immediate and intense backlash from both the media and the government.
Why?
After the show, Walter Winchell, on a rival network, attempted to quell the rising panic by assuring listeners, Mr. and Mrs. America, there is no cause for alarm. America has not fallen. I repeat, America has not fallen.
Well, that's not going to make me feel better if I'm Joe Blow in Kanushka, New York.
Is that a place?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But America has not fallen. But you're saying it might? Like, could you say there's no fucking aliens here? No?
I'm not Walter Winchell. I don't know why you're
I
yelling
heard
at me.
Walter Winchell was a bit of a bitch.
Okay. The following day, the broadcast dominated newspaper headlines with journalists using anecdotal accounts to make broad claims of widespread American hysteria, solidifying the impression that Welles' show had caused mass panic.
Go outside.
CBS
Look out your window.
CBS quickly held a press conference where Welles repeatedly denied any intention to deceive the public. The team faced threats of lawsuits and calls for tighter regulation and censorship. So the
CBS and
FCC,
censorship.
the FCC investigated and found no law had been broken. Radio networks were subsequently required to exercise greater caution with future programming. Paradoxically, the entire scandal only served to enhance Welles' reputation as a creative genius and master storyteller.
You know, knowing Orson Welles, I guarantee you, just based on everything I've ever read on him, that they were like, do not go out there and say what he wanted to say was, y'all are fucking dumb. I told you in the beginning. I told you at the end. I told you like 4 times.
Well, and he was doing a play at the time too, and he left the CBS studios, went to do that play because it was like a later run, and there were people outside the theater just calling for his head and shit. He just went and did the play, and then claimed he was like, I don't understand why everyone is so upset, right? So
I am looking at it. Even when I first heard about, when my mom first told me about this, I think I was like 7 or 8, and because we were watching War of the Worlds and the movie, and not the Tom Cruise thing, but even then I was like, how are you going to be mad at him? You didn't listen.
people don't like to admit when they're wrong.
As somebody that hates to admit when she's wrong, it's like,
That's why we're where we are right now.
this is very true. This is true. Can we get those Martians here?
Number 10, the Chase and Sanborn Hour. Michelle.
I like that this started out like an umbrella show, right? That there was all kinds of stuff just in that, and then ultimately just became Edgar Bergen show, basically.
We found a Charlie McCarthy book yesterday.
Oh, you did?
At the
Antique Mall.
We did.
Nice.
Andrea, anything about this?
I don't like ventriloquist dummies, but
I know
also,
you don't.
how great do you have to be to? And I understand Edgar Bergen was. I'm not taking that away. I'm laughing because it's like it's a ventriloquist
On the radio.
On the radio.
Yeah.
You know, so it just to me it's very much the charm of the 30s.
Mm.
Like, well, I mean, these are the same people that thought that Mars had attacked. So, but it's yeah, that's it. Don't like ventriloquist dummies. They'll kill you.
Okay.
They will.
They will.
We've all seen them.
Yes.
So the story of the Chase and Sanborn Hour actually begins not with comedy, but with music. So in 1929, the program debuts the Chase and Sanborn Choral Orchestra, a half-hour showcase of orchestral arrangements and vocal performances designed to promote its namesake sponsor, Chase and Sanborn Coffee.
Is it Chase and Sanborn, or is it Chase Sanborn?
Chase and Sanborn Coffee.
I have been saying it wrong this entire time. My apologies.
At the
Chase Sanborn, go on.
Yeah, there's an and in there, I think. But at the time, radio was still finding its rhythm. Advertisers were quickly learning that entertainment was the most persuasive form of persuasion. So NBC, eager to build prestige around its Sunday night lineup, positioned this show as a refined musical offering. But by 1931, the network sensed a shift in audience appetite. The Great Depression cast a long shadow over American life, and listeners craved levity, escape, personality, something funny. Enter Eddie Cantor. Cantor, already a vaudeville and Broadway sensation, brought a kinetic energy to the program that transformed it literally overnight. With his rapid-fire delivery, self-deprecating humor, and knack for topical jokes, Cantor turned the show into a comedic variety hour that resonated with millions. He sang, he joked, he bantered with guest stars, and he did it all with a wink that made listeners feel like insiders.
Is Cantor his God-given name?
Oh, I didn't look Eddie up. I don't know.
Just because of what a cantor is, that's why I was like, okay.
Under Cantor's stewardship, the Chase and Sanborn Hour became a ratings powerhouse. His segments often included playful jabs at politicians, celebrities, and even the sponsor itself, which only endeared him more to the public. Okay. What's Eddie's name, Michelle?
Edward Eddie Cantor, born Isidore Itzkowitz.
Okay.
So, Eddie Cantor, but Cantor's boldness also courted controversy. His jokes occasionally pushed boundaries, and his outspoken support for political causes, particularly his criticism of fascism and anti-Semitism, made him a lightning rod in an increasingly polarized media landscape. Despite the friction, Cantor's tenure from 1931 to 1934 laid the foundation for what this show would become, a dynamic blend of comedy, music, and star power, to Michelle's point, the umbrella under which all of this happened. It was no longer just a coffee-sponsored broadcast. It became a cultural event. And as Cantor stepped away, the show was poised for its next evolution, one that would introduce Andrea's favorite, a ventriloquist dummy. So
ventriloquist dummy killed Cliff Robertson.
When Edgar, Bergen, and Charlie McCarthy joined the Chase and Sanborn Hour in May of 1937, they didn't just add a new act. They actually refined what radio could be. Think about this. Bergen, a soft-spoken ventriloquist with a sharp wit, and McCarthy, his monocled, top-hatted dummy with a mischievous streak, became the most unlikely stars of the airwaves. In a medium built on sound alone, they used ventriloquism. Not only made it viable, but wildly popular. It was a paradox that delighted listeners, a wooden dummy who couldn't be seen, yet whose personality was so vivid he seemed more alive than many of the show's human guests. McCarthy was irreverent, flirtatious, and unfiltered, the perfect foil to Bergen's straight man persona. Their banter was fast, clever, and often laced with double entendres. Entendre, I can't say it, that danced just beyond the reach of censors. Chemistry was electric, Bergen's timing was impeccable, and McCarthy's voice, nasal, bratty, and aristocratic, became instantly recognizable. Their routines often revolved around McCarthy's romantic escapades, his disdain for authority, and his playful insults aimed at guest stars. So we already talked about the famous Mae West episode that got her banned, and it was written by the Lights Out guy. Sorry, I just forgot his arch. The Chase and Sanborn Hour wasn't just a popular hit, it was a blueprint. It was a blend of comedy, music, celebrity, and sponsor-driven storytelling that helped define the variety format that would later dominate television. I think Michelle said most of that. I just said it again. Okay, so that's all 10.
I was just looking at Chase and Sanborn Coffee. I wondered if it was still, and it is.
Okay, so number 1, Guiding Light, Andrea.
No.
Michelle.
Yes.
Oh, Christ. I wanted for Erna, because, I mean, she did it all, but.
Number 2, The Shadow, Michelle.
No.
Andrea.
Yes.
Okay.
Number
3, The Jack Benny Program, Andrea.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Yay.
Number 4, Lux Radio Theater, Michelle.
Yes.
Andrea.
Yes.
Number 5, The Lone Ranger. Oh, boy. Andrea.
No.
Michelle.
No.
6, Lights Out. Michelle.
I want to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
Andrea.
Exactly what Michelle said.
Number 7, Major Beau's Amateur Hour. Andrea.
Give me just a second. Yes.
Michelle.
No.
Number 8, Fireside Chat. Michelle.
Yes.
Andrea.
No.
Jeez.
And I have a reason for that.
We're going to hear it. Number 9, War of the Worlds. Andrea.
Yes.
Michelle.
No. Oh my God.
Number 10, The Chase and Sanborn Hour. Michelle.
Yes.
Andrea.
How many yeses have I had?
1, 2, 3, 4, 4.
Yes.
Sorry, 5. You have 5 already.
Oh,
What?
then never mind. No.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, Chase and Sanborn. Michelle, you said yes.
I did say yes.
And Andrea, you said no.
I said no.
Mm.
Wow. So we've agreed on 4 of them. We have 2 yeses. So Jack Benny and Lux are a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 left. And Michelle is a... Let me start with Michelle's no's. Michelle's a no on The Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Major Beau's.
Mm-hmm.
War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3
Mm-hmm.
you're no on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start at the top. Talk to me about The Shadow.
I feel like we're gonna get. I get that it was like came out of nowhere, right? Like it was invented because people and it was good and ran forever. But I feel like we're gonna get a lot more suspense like stuff in the 40s, and so I don't know. I don't know that it represents the 30s necessarily.
Andrea, why are you a yes on The Shadow?
Actually, for exactly what Michelle said, just take the 40s out. I felt like this.
Mhm.
If you asked me if The Shadow, I would say the Shadow was the 30s. I did not know The Shadow was the 30s before. I knew that it was earlier. It just always kind of struck me. But now as I say this, I'm not as stricken.
So are you saying no to The Shadow?
I say no
Okay.
and blame it on Alec Baldwin.
I knew that was coming.
Oh.
Let's go 7, Major Beau's. Andrea, why are you a yes on that? Or no, let me ask why you're a no on Guiding Light.
It doesn't say 30s to me. It doesn't seem like representative. I feel that the 40s, you get more of these soap opera-esque. Now, I understand this woman is the queen mother of but Erna and everything she's gone through isn't part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And soap operas, especially radio soap operas, obviously, to me are more of a 40s thing. And maybe
Michelle?
because
Oh,
it's so prevalent, then maybe that's what does it. But that is why I'm a no.
okay. Michelle, why are you a yes on Guiding Light?
Thank you, Elvis.
I think because it feels like, particularly the early stuff, feels very much the 30s to me, right? There was like a very religious tone to it. There was a very like,
God, it was the guiding light in the
how
window.
will you live your life now? And then, and also just that it was marketed towards women, and that this is kind of the first time we're seeing that kind of happen, where they give a damn. They don't give a damn about us, but they give a damn about what we're buying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So-
I'll change it to yes, baby.
Okay, so we have
I can see
3.
Michelle makes a very, a very compelling argument is made by Michelle Kimberly.
Oh.
Sheesh.
So we have 3. And so now we're down to you 2 are arguing over 2, meaning that Andrea feels like the final 2 should be Major Beau's and War of the Worlds. Michelle feels like it should be Fireside Chat and Chase and Sanborn.
Wow,
Is
we're
that
just totally-
fair?
Yes.
Yes.
And if I could say with Fireside Chat, if I could just say what it was, because I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of this president. he was always sitting. I love the person that's like, he was sitting by the fire. He was often in a sitting position. The fireside chats, if you would have asked me, you are asking me, to me, they're very 40s. I know they go into the 40s. That seems, fireside chat just me is very 40s. But I could see the 30s with the bank run and everything like that. I could see it.
I mean, they did start in the 30s, and it was that the banking
Yeah,
issue,
it was stuff in the 30s that caused it.
In the 40s, the what it did
You
for
needed
World
the
War
president,
II.
World War II. You needed the president, like, having these chats when he was sending.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't personally sending, but when our country that he's the representative of is sending boys and women to war.
I know that this is jumping ahead a little bit, but now that I'm thinking about it, looking at my notes, I will trade Chase and Sanborn for Major Bose because we already have kind of variety show-esque shit on here, right?
Yes.
With Jack Benny.
With Jack Benny. So I will give on Major Bose because there's nothing else like that, and this is where that started. So I'll give you, we can do that.
Okay.
So we're saying yes to Major Bose.
Yes to Major Bose.
Thank you, Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
So now we're down to Fireside Chat War of the Worlds.
I would do, well, see, this was my thing with War of the Worlds. I don't think you could get away with it in the 40s. Number one, you're not going to have fucking anything invading America in the 40s.
No, fair enough.
You're not going to have anything invading from the skies. I mean, so I feel like you could only get away with it in the 30s.
And my main argument about this is that it was a single episode from an entire
I'll give you that.
different
I'll give you that. I'll
series.
take Fireside Chat, and I'll give her that.
Oh.
Because then it would come down to,
I felt that way when I first saw it on the list
Yes.
too, and I was like, I know why this is impactful, and I get that it was a big fucking deal, but it was a single episode.
I will.
And all these other are like series
Because
or long running.
That's how. Yep.
And listen, if this was a different kind of list, 1000%. But it's just the single episode versus.
I will give you that.
Calming.
That is correct. That I will switch. See how fucking agreeable I am?
So I just want to confirm what was just decided was that we're ditching War of the Worlds and keeping Major Bose.
No.
Yes.
And ditching Chase and Sanborn.
Yes.
So let me just confirm with both of your lists. I have our top 5 going into the capsule. Guiding Light, the Jack Benny program, Lux Radio Theater, Major Bose Amateur Hour,
Yes.
Fireside Chat.
You got it, baby.
Correct.
Those are our top 5.
You got it. Woohoo!
Okay.
Good night, Irene.
Andrea could not be happier that the radio portion of this decade is over.
Sean, I appreciate very much what you've done. I don't want anybody sitting at home and has eyes on you. It's like, why is he married to such a bitch?
No.
It's like, this was very, very hard for me to get through, but it was super fucking interesting. And I very much enjoyed it.
That's my goal for each of these, just for myself. Learn a whole bunch of stuff because I want to be curious. I learned a lot. And I learned a lot from you two as well, as always. So like that's what makes this fun for me. It's what makes it easy for me to do all of this because it's fun.
Why we should have a bigger audience. Tell your friends.
We'll get there. We're not that far into this actually.
I'll kick you if you don't.
Okay, let's not threaten our audience, please. Audience, I'm so sorry. Mainly for Andrea, but a little bit of Michelle. They're both spicy today.
I had wine.
But thank you for hanging with us. So again, our top 5, Guiding Light, the Jack Benny program, Lux Radio Theater, Major Bose Amateur Hour, Fireside Chat. Let us know what you think. Either comment wherever you're ingesting your podcasts or hit us up on social. Wherever you can find us, hit us up. Let us know why we're crazy, why we're wrong. Just remember, we regret nothing. And until next time, take care of yourself. We'll see you then.